Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner, Corey Tackman over there. Corey, we have a doubleheader of volleyball on our Hubbard Radio Wadena stations. I have Park Region Conference volleyball. You have Heart of Lakes Conference volleyball.
Yeah, I've got HOL volleyball at the Hive tonight. The Perham Yellow Jackets host the Staples-Motley Cardinals. Let's just dive into it here a little bit and take a look at each team where we got to this point of the season. Obviously, still early in the first quarter of the year. Yellow Jackets 2-4 to start the year. They're 2-2 in 8AA section play. They're 1-0 in Heart of Lakes conference play. They're coming off two straight losses to obviously a preeminent, dominant figure in Big School 8-4A volleyball in Moorhead, and then losing to DGF in 4 sets on Tuesday night. And DGF going to be a problem in that 8AA section. Of course, this year. Staples-Motley is 2-6 on the year. They have yet to win a section game. They're in section 6AA. They also haven't played a conference game yet, if you can believe that, out of the Heart of Lakes. So they open up conference play here this evening against the Yellow Jackets. 3 straight losses for Staples-Motley, to Pine River Bacchus, to Osakis, and to Foley. When you take a look at the Heart of Lakes conference standings, CJ, DGF, Frazee, Holly, and Perham are undefeated 1-0. Breckenridge, Pelican Rapids, Barnesville, and Park Rapids area are 0-1. Staples-Motley right there in the middle. They haven't played a conference game yet, so this will be the first one here tonight. DGF, in case you were wondering, the top team right now in the conference, along with Holly. DGF is rated higher because they're 9-0 overall. The Holly Nuggets are 3-0 overall, so they're ranked 3rd on the conference standings list. But the Nuggets do have an 81.7 QRF value compared to DGF's 75.3. And those two teams are by far and away the best teams in that conference, according to that QRF value. The next closest is Frazee with a 59.4. So almost 20 points difference between that second and third place team. Last year when they played, it was a Yellow Jackets victory in Staples-Motley, a 3-2 victory for the Perham Yellow Jackets. Scheduled for a 7 o'clock pregame with a 7:15 first serve tonight on AM1430 and 98.5 FM, The Fan.
And over on 101.7 FM and AM920 KWAD, also online at wadenaradio.com/KWAD. It's a Park Region Conference clash between New York Mills and Bertha-Hewitt. Taking the tail of the tape with both of these teams, New York Mills comes into this match 2-5. They are 1-2 in Section 6A, and this is the first Park Region Conference game of the season for the Eagles. They're 0-3 on the road, 2-1 in neutral site games, 0-1 on their home floor. They've played some opponents throughout the season, a AA team in Frazee. They've gotten victories over Brandon Evansville and Verndale. Both of those have come in the Long Prairie Gray Eagle tournament that a lot of the Park region was at. And also they met Bertha-Hewitt at that Long Prairie Gray Eagle tournament where Bertha-Hewitt did beat them 2-0 in that match. And then they also have played some tough teams in Section 6A, like Park Audubon's always got a nice squad. Then you have Park Christian in that mix as well. So there's some teams in there that they're going to see later in the year. And as you just kind of look at the New York Mills team as they get ready to play Bertha-Hewitt here with their first Park Region Conference game of the season. For the Eagles, a year ago, when you look at this squad, they had 20 wins. They were 10-5 in the section. They were 5-2 in the Park Region Conference. And looking at just kind of everything in the Park Region Conference standings here, only really one game for most teams to go off of, except for Monaga, who's 1-1. They're in the middle, of course, because Henning, Wadena, Deer Creek, Verndale, and Monaga are each 1-0 on the conference season. The New York Mills hasn't played a game yet. Sabika, Bertha-Hewitt, and Pillager are all 0-1 in PRC play so far. Taking a look now at Bertha-Hewitt in this matchup, they're 5-3 coming into this one. They're 3-1 in Section 5A, 0-1 in the Park Region Conference. They're 2-1 on the road, 2-2 in neutral site games, 1-1 on their home floor. They most recently played in the Long Prairie Gray Eagle tournament. They did not play on Tuesday. They went 3-1 in that tournament, getting victories over Brandon Evansville, Long Prairie Gray Eagle, and New York Mills, while losing to Henning 2-0. Some other victories for Bertha-Hewitt. They got wins over Browerville, Eagle Valley, and Uppsala as well on the young campaign. Getting another conference matchup here with New York Mills to try and help things out. And we'll just see how this thing goes. If you want to backtrack to last year for New York Mills and Bertha-Hewitt when both these teams played, it was a 4-set victory for New York Mills in Mills last year around this time on September 12th. So both these teams getting ready to do battle again. It's going to be a 7 o'clock pregame, 7:15 first serve from the Bertha-Hewitt gym. You can listen again on 101.7 FM and AM920 KWAD, and also online at wadenaradio.com/KWAD. Corey, it's crazy because while we still are only playing a 1 to 2 conference games here so far in the young season, the QRFs are already kind of out and starting to paint a little bit of a picture.
Yeah, I mean, it happens quick, right? I mean, you get through this week, there's 4 weeks left, five of the regular season stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's relevant here really quickly. And yeah, you're right. Only 2 conference weeks, or 2 weeks into the conference season, but man, they played some matches. You mentioned in all these tournaments. There's tournaments that the 2 teams I'm covering tonight are playing in as well every single weekend. There's a lot of volleyball that's played beyond just the regular week, the Monday through Friday week. So yeah, we're starting to get that picture, and things are starting to make a little more sense. But we're still in that time where teams are eyeing up that turning the corner, right? We're moving beyond fundamentals and feeling comfortable in the system. That should be happening here pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is too, is like you said, you're past that beginning part of where, hey, just do the basics, just do that. And obviously coaches still want that to happen, but now it's all right, we're going to give a little bit more on your plate. Or now for coaches, it's okay, here's what we saw the first couple weeks in practice. Here's what we're going to start with. And now that you have a couple of weeks of games under your belt, it's okay. Now, where is that natural adjustment? Like, is player X getting to where we need them to be? Or, hey, player Y has really risen to the challenge over the last couple of weeks. They've earned an opportunity to get a little bit more. What are we doing that's not working? What are we doing that is working? How can we build off that? Just a lot of things that happen now through the first 2 to 3 weeks of a season, where now coaches are kind of in the next 3 weeks going to tinker. And then the final, 2 to 3 weeks, it's all right. Like, we're going to lock in how we want to look for the playoffs. This is how we're going to roll. So this is a very important kind of 3-4 week stretch for a lot of volleyball teams across the region.
No doubt about it.
You can find the full broadcast schedule, by the way, online at wadenaradio.com or by following Sports Cow on Facebook. Moo. Corey, let's talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. One of the things is it's wing night. There's also a lot of other things to do at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. There's the arcade and, Corey, so much more.
Yeah, and it's the ultimate prize giveaway. You could win a Nintendo Switch 2 and a 50-inch TV in the ultimate prize giveaway from the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Here's how you enter. It's super easy, CJ. If you have a FunZone Rewards account, you are already automatically entered. If you're not a FunZone Rewards member yet, scan the QR code. You'll see it up when you're in the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. You'll see it on the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade Facebook page. Scan that code. You have until the end of the month, joined by September 30th for your automatic entry. It's your chance to win a Nintendo Switch 2 and a 50-inch TV. It's the ultimate prize giveaway from Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
All right, Corey, as we dive into state sports here, the Minnesota Vikings getting ready for their Week 2 matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. That's going to be a Sunday night football game once again, 6 o'clock pregame, kickoff a little after 7. Listen on the Superstation K106, that's 105.9 FM. The Vikings, if you look at their primetime games, Corey, they had Monday Night Football this week. They have Sunday Night Football coming up. Week 3 is, I believe, a noon kickoff, but they already said Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, like the A crew for CBS, is going to be present for that game with Joe Burrow coming to US Bank Stadium. So that's another. So even though it's not quote unquote prime time or like an island game, that still is going to be one where like a majority of the country will be having that on their televisions.
No doubt.
So that's important. You go to week 4, which is, I believe, Ireland or London or one of the two. You have them back to back. They're played at 8:30 in the morning, which is awful, and I hate it. But those are island games in the sense of everybody's going to be waking up and watching them as they're getting ready on a Sunday morning. And then you have the bye week. So literally, Corey, the first 5 Vikings games of the season, you could say are prime time or certainly high volume watching matchups.
Week 8 is a Thursday night game.
Yeah. Smack that, by the way, right in the middle of like the first Thursday of playoff volleyball.
Yeah, right. I know exactly. And then it looks like Sunday night, week 15 at Dallas. That one might be flexed. That one could very well be flexed. But yeah, that's by the way, week 7, home versus Philadelphia. Week 8, Thursday night at the Chargers, and then Detroit follows. So that's a kind of a gauntlet stretch there for the Vikings.
Yeah, exactly. It's why this early season stretch, and it's why the Monday night win was so important, right? Like, obviously, it's one game, and you shake it off and you go, all right, figure it out. But it's why it's important to get that win, because it just sets the table for, if you can go, 4-1, 3-2 in this stretch, you got a big stretch coming up that's going to prove some things. So you kind of have to hold water. If you get 1-4 after the first 5 games, you're in trouble and your season's pretty much dead. So because of all those opponents, like you said, coming up. So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses as the Vikings get ready for that week 2 matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. The injury report is not quite in their favor, Corey. I'm going to pull this up here and just let you know what's been happening with that. So here is the Vikings injury report as of Wednesday's practice. Blake Cashman did not participate. Kevin O'Connell said he's going to be out multiple weeks. Ty Chandler did not participate with a knee injury. Ryan Kelly, the starting center, did not participate, although that could be more of like a veteran rest day. Josh Oliver, the backup tight end, did not participate. Andrew Van Ginkel and Jeff Okudah, both in concussion protocol. Returner Miles Price, limited with a knee. Harrison Smith, limited with illness. Darisaw, full participant. Naylor, Xavier Scott, Elijah Williams, all full participants. But Corey, all of a sudden, we talked about the depth of the Vikings defense. I know their front 7 has a lot of depth. That secondary doesn't necessarily have a ton. And Okudah, obviously there's still a lot of time until the game, but Okudah is banged up and could potentially miss. We'll see how that happens. Andrew Van Ginkel, the team's starting linebacker, could potentially be out there. Blake Cashman, your signal caller, the guy who's got the green dot in the huddle, is going to be out. All of a sudden, it's week 2 already, and the injuries are starting to pile up here.
I mean, they're gonna. That's just like injury report happens every single week. I only have one thing that I'm actually interested in this. What's wrong with Harrison Smith?
Yeah, they said it's a personal illness, and I think reporters, just out of respect, are just kind of not prime. It's
okay. So then what does that mean? Like,
it's some kind of physical illness. That's all.
There's no speculation anywhere that exists on the internet. Like, what? It's
that's credible.
It's just silence. It's just silent treatment on what's going on here, and that's usually bad, right?
It's not great. And like, look, he obviously gets the privacy, gets all that stuff. But in terms of just being a fan, yeah, it's like, I want to see Harrison Smith on the field. What's going on? Is this something like, can I expect him back next week? Can I expect him back next month? Is he not going to be back till Christmas? Like, what is this going to look like? He's practicing limited, which is it's an okay sign. It means like theoretically a return in the next couple weeks is imminent, but also, yeah, we have no idea what the injury is.
Yeah. And I mean, this is obviously I want him to play, but like, I'm just like, is he okay? Is he okay? That's what I'm
the limited practice.
That's what I'm most interested in. Is he okay? Because it's weird that this is very secretive. And I get they're allowed to have their privacy. They're allowed it. I'm not begging for them to just like tell me, but I am interested in what it is.
Congratulations. You just had a HIPAA violation. How do you feel about that?
Hey, no one's told me anything yet.
Yeah. The other interesting thing, Corey, would be if Andrew Van Ginkel doesn't play, that would probably mean the first start for Dallas Turner, who had a couple nice plays in the game on Monday. It would be very interesting if the Vikings, not that they haven't let loose with him before, but just a game where it's like, hey man, like you're the guy, go out and do it, instead of like, hey, do your job, you're in the rotation, you're this, you're that. Kind of, it'd be interesting to see, because while Dallas Turner has had flashes and he certainly had good moments, he hasn't, had the opportunity to be kind of a you're on the field the majority of the time kind of guy. And it'd be interesting to see what that development looks like.
I mean, I don't know. If he was going to be the starter, like he would be already. It's only week 1 of his second full season. So like, if he's going to get the chance, it's not going to be because he earned it. It's because who else is going to do it? So yeah, you're right. But like the point of the defense is sometimes it's not actually who is the starter. So like the person starting sometimes is just earned the respect, but like they just Rolodex through these guys. So
right. Well, and not having Andrew Van Ginkel would just mean theoretically he also is on the field more as well.
Right. Exactly. So that I don't think it's yeah, it's just a depth. It's just like a depth piece. I don't know. Is this a thing? You seem like you're more nervous about this than I am.
I'm not nervous. I'm just kind of intrigued of what this is, because the biggest thing is it's a long season and injuries are going to happen. Like you said, you just don't want to be in a situation where cough, cough, San Francisco, like it's week 1 and your team is already broken beyond repair. And that's just the NFL. Injuries are going to happen. There's just nothing you can do about that. The one injury I am most intrigued by is the Blake Cashman injury, because he is a guy that has had some injury history. It's why the Vikings were able to get him for a relatively cheap number, and why he's a nice player, but he wasn't as highly sought after because there is some injury risk. And he got hurt for a few games last season, missed about a month, I believe. And Ivan Pace was kind of the team's replacement for him. He was the guy who was the green dot. He was the defensive play caller in the huddle. And they went out this offseason and brought back in Eric Wilson, who, if you remember, was with the Vikings kind of in like the 2016 to 2019 eras of Minnesota Vikings football. And he was a nice backup linebacker for them.
Played great week 1.
Yeah, exactly. Got a blocked punt, came in when Cashman got hurt and played really well. And it's why, like, I remember when they announced the signing of Eric Wilson, and a lot of people go, okay, brought in an extra linebacker. Okay. I was actually like, that's a really nice pickup. And part of it is because I'm nostalgic, but also is like, I just remember him with the Vikings being a very nice player. When he was in Green Bay, he was a very nice backup linebacker for them. And I believe he was with one other team kind of in the middle. It's why when you have the money and you have the resources, you go get depth like that, because you have a guy in Cashman can get hurt. Now you have Eric Wilson come in and be that guy who can command the huddle. He's a veteran. He can do that. And then it just allows Ivan Pace to, again, be that rotational guy who can come in spurts and give you kind of the thump you need. And then you take him off the field and things like that. So the Blake Cashman injury will be the one to monitor, because again, while Wilson is a nice fill-in linebacker, how long can you ride that train? Obviously the defense is better with Cashman in it and more healthy. But I think the good news is if Cashman is going to miss a lot of time, which he's going to miss a few weeks for sure, at the very least, like, I do feel confident that they have a good backup plan behind him.
Yeah, the hardest thing with that one too is how many times do we have to talk about hamstring injuries, right? Like hamstring injuries just suck. And the only way to get over it is to not do anything. And we're talking about
like I cannot re-aggravate it.
We're talking about football. We're talking about guys who can't not do anything. They really get itchy to get back in and as quickly as possible. And this is not the sort of injury that you are allowed to get antsy with and anxious with. So is it one of those? I remember Adam Thielen in his last years or two always had like, is this a hamstring? And then he would just be right back in, because sometimes it's just a tweak. And then sometimes you're bruised from your butt cheeks to the back of your knees and you're done. It's just over.
Speaking from experience,
the worst injury I've ever had, period.
Yeah, they're not fun. Soft tissue injuries are the worst, because broken bone, you just know, like, I just got to let the bone heal up. Like, it'll be okay. This or that. Soft tissue is just, I just have to let it heal. And there is no accurate timetable. And you got to make sure it's healthy, because if you re-aggravate it again, it's a whole thing, as we learned with a certain third baseman for the Minnesota Twins.
Correct.
But yeah, there's a lot of things to take in there. Overall, though, I haven't looked at the Falcons injury report for sure yet, but it doesn't look like their top wide receiver, Drake London, is going to play in the game, which would be a benefit to the Vikings secondary. We'll talk more about the big matchup tomorrow, because obviously it's Penix versus McCarthy in a rematch of the national championship game, quarterbacks from a couple of years ago. But overall, Vikings got to get healthy. They have some important games coming up kind of through this stretch, and we'll see what happens. The important thing is that Justin Jefferson is healthy, because outside of him, they'd be, not.
Listen, anytime you have the player who's the best at his position, it's been important they play.
Yeah. How about the NFC Offensive Player of the Week and JJ McCarthy?
That was pretty exciting, huh?
I think we talked about this in our group chat with me, you, and Zeke. We were like, there's got to have been like a better nominee, right? And you look at the stat lines and not really, if you're just looking at box score stats, not really. McCarthy got the win on Monday Night Football, first career start, come from behind. Everybody was watching it. That's probably what more led into it than the actual stat line itself.
I mean, yeah, like Jordan Love, he didn't have a say in any of this. I think he had a pretty decent, like, not spectacular, but a decent week, and he didn't throw,
right,
which is important. Was there not a running back somewhere? I don't know. This is just one of those, like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening around the rest of the league. That's not something I follow. I know that it's a pretty unimpressive stat line for an offensive player of the week.
They always say that defense gets a better start at the beginning of the year than offenses do.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's played 50 snaps of professional football.
Well, just across the league with the offensive performance.
Oh, yeah, I know. And then you add onto it is what I'm saying. Like, the guy just hasn't played a lot of professional football.
Right. He'll get another opportunity. Hey, this is the first time JJ McCarthy has played a full football game and come out healthy. So we'll just take the battles. We'll just take the wins where we can get them.
No doubt about it.
Throughout this season, and we'll kind of figure things out a little bit later. We'll do a full preview of the game tomorrow. We'll also maybe talk a little Gophers, because they're playing like a 9:30 kickoff on Saturday.
Yeah, they're at Cal on Saturday night. Yeah.
All right. There's that.
At least I know I have one thing to watch on Saturday night.
It's on ESPN at least, so whatever. Why even watch the game? You can just watch the highlights on YouTube, Corey. So
throw his bald head through a sheetrock.
Why actually watch a game when you could just watch the highlights on TikTok? I say.
His predecessor overreacted to just about everything, and this guy's done an unbelievable job of turning the tables of a commissioner by not reacting to everything.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, by the way.
Big dork.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, it's good. At least the NBA now has decided that hucked up half-court heaves at the end of halves or games will not count against an individual shooting percentage. They will count against the team shooting percentage, though, which is basically just a big way to help bad player stats.
But also, now we're going to get them, because guys were not shoot. Like, why wouldn't you try to score if you have a shot? And guys were not doing it to pad their stats. Just like Royce Lewis wasn't adjusting and making changes because he didn't want to ruin his stats. Like, these guys have contractual incentives on shooting percentages and things like that. So they're just not going to shoot. Now they're going to shoot them, which means we're going to get between first and second quarter buzzer beaters and halftime buzzer beaters, which is cool.
Yeah. I don't think it's like a huge, I agree. I think there are certain players who definitely are conscious of that.
The rule exists because of that, CJ. That's why they changed this rule. Literally.
It does. And it's why Silver gets the credit of being players commish, because he just does things for them and also kind of lets them get away with a lot of stuff.
It's a good rule change. I actually like this, because guys were not shooting the ball. It counted against them, and they didn't want to. If by the end of imagine you're the point guard. Imagine you're Luka and you have incentives on being a 50% from the field shooter, and you miss. They play 80 games. Like, the ball is in your hand. You're going to be inbounded the ball. You're going to miss 23 quarter court heaves. That's going to hurt your field goal percentage. Now, Luka, the guy you want shooting that ball at the end of quarters, end of halves, end of games, he's going to make 6 of them this year.
I agree with you. I just don't think it's like a massive epidemic. That's like I guess
it is. That's why I mean, I'm serious here. I'm not like hyperbolically saying this. It literally is the reason why we're not getting those shots, and now we're going to get those shots. That's why the rule change happened.
It'll be interesting to see when the NBA season gets going, which, by the way, it's September. So by the end of the month, Wolves will be at training camp, which is crazy to
no doubt.
Crazy to think about. So we got one massive crazy trade probably from Tim Connolly coming up at some point.
Exactly right.
All right, that's it. This is the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. It'll be a football Friday tomorrow. See you then.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.